Don't call it small business. I'm your host, Natasha Foreman, and it's awesome to be here with you again today. Yes. This episode is part 2 of our conversation from our episode 3 that aired earlier today. I'm excited about continuing this conversation. I am. So in episode 3, we discussed business news related to sports, the food industry, a helpful shark, and China. I also began addressing the questions and suggestions shared by some of our listeners. So let's continue by discussing another request. Let's see. This listener asked that we discuss how to keep a company's overhead low. Wow, okay, well, it sounds simple. Just cut. Right? Right, that's what most of us think. We just think we'll just cut expenses. There's going to be some cutting. But it's not that simple. Even job layoffs, like the ones that Huawei and FutureWe Technologies are forced to implement, are not simple plans. To build your business, right? Spending money is necessary. I mean, heck, money was spent to record, broadcast, and market this podcast. So money's going to be spent. As a business owner or senior executive tasked with cutting or maintaining overhead expenses, you have to look at your direct and indirect costs. Now, if you don't know what those are, I'm going to try to briefly summarize this for you. Your direct costs are those expenses that are associated with producing or creating your product or service. The indirect costs are your overhead costs. It's all about the expenses associated with running your business, but you can't directly attribute them to a service, product, business activity, or part of your company's income. So those expenses can include your accounting or legal services, salaries for administrative employees who aren't responsible for producing a product. Other indirect costs include utilities, office equipment, licenses and permits, insurance, property taxes, depreciation, manufacturing overhead, which could include rent payments for a building or a piece of equipment. None of these expenses generate revenue for your business. So overhead costs are fixed expenses, most often like your office rent payment, which is usually the same each month. I mean, if your rent at your office is $2,000 per month, it's rare that it's going to fluctuate month to month and throughout the year. Direct costs, on the other hand, are variable costs, and they're tied to labor and materials that directly aid to the creation of a product or service. So by adding your direct expenses and overhead costs on your company's income statement, you can see your total cost. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to help you calculate some things. To calculate your overhead, the most common way is as a percentage of sales or a percentage of labor cost. The lower your overhead means that your company should have a high percentage as your expenses go towards the products of goods or services. It also provides your company with a competitive advantage because now you can price your products better and you can increase your profit margins. I'm tongue-tied. Profit margins. Which then, by increasing your profit margins, you're going to boost your bottom line. And we love to boost our bottom line, right? Gives us more wiggle room, more freedom. Now, once you go through every business activity, you examine your financial statements to ensure you counted for each cost and you identified every expense. You need to sort them into your 2 categories, direct cost and indirect, right? Those are the 2 categories that I mentioned earlier. You will add up all of your indirect costs for 1 month. Then you'll look at your income statement to assess your sales for the month. Now, here's when the calculations are going to come in. If you're not good at math, you may need to delegate this to someone else. Or you can always just reach out to Foreman and Associates, and I can have my ace bookkeeper who loves accounting to help you with this. Either way, if you can't do the math, get help. So here's what you need to calculate when you're looking at sales. You take your monthly overhead and you divide in there your monthly sales. Multiply that number by 100, and then the result will equal the percentage of overhead cost to sales. I'm going to repeat that. You take your monthly overhead, divide your monthly sales into that, take the result of that number and multiply that by 100. That's going to be your percentage of your overhead cost to sales. If you choose to calculate overhead in comparison to labor cost, you can simply take your monthly overhead, dividing that your monthly labor cost, and multiply the rest, or the result, I'm saying the rest, the result by 100. I'll repeat that again. Monthly overhead, divide by your monthly labor cost, and multiply the result by 100. Your final number is the percentage of overhead cost to labor. You can also use some fancy software that will do it for you, but at least you know the categories in which these numbers are coming from. So now that you know how to calculate your overhead, let's discuss how to keep these costs low or how to reduce them. Here are some tips that I'm going to share with you quickly. Tip 1, review your expenses and identify items that you're paying too much for, are no longer needing, or they're not efficient or effective. Just go through it and to start figuring out what you need to cut. 2, brainstorm with other members on your team or find a professional who is skilled at assessing something like this. As I mentioned earlier, I got my girl Ebony for you. Tip 3, if you have third-party contracts, review them to see how much you pay, how often you're paying them, and if the costs are necessary, too high, etc. Think about it this way. Have your business needs changed? If so, then maybe your relationships need to change or end, right? You may need to let those contracts go or somehow modify them. Tip 4, reduce your space. Oh my goodness, if you have a physical office or work site, consider downsizing. Think about, this is something I remember sharing with a few clients, but also with some of my friends. Do all or most of your employees need to work out of that space? Could some or all of your workforce operate virtually, also known as remotely? I mean, people, you guys are paying for square footage that you may not need. So I want you to consider that. Tip 5, declutter. Oh my goodness, I've had so many clients over the past 20 years who truly needed to declutter. Yes. Look at your office closets, rooms, and other spaces that have equipment, furniture, and other stuff that's just taking up space. Dude, some of you guys even have storage units. Here's your options. Sell it, donate it, recycle it. Whatever it is, get rid of it, people. Tip 6, scale back your advertising and marketing budget by, you can find more creative and innovative ways to get and keep customers. You don't need to have some, budget that you're pouring thousands into monthly that you just really can't afford. If you can scale that back and find more innovative and creative ways to be able to reach and engage with your customers, do that. Tip 7, go paperless. Try to eliminate office supplies and instead convert all, most, or some of your paperwork to your hard drive, external drive, somebody's drive, or to any number of the cloud-based options that we have at our disposal. You can convert documents that can be then accessed using web links or other features. I love paper, but I do a lot of my interactions with my clients. I'm doing it, electronically. Right? They're not getting a physical paper with me. Invoicing, so much is all electronic. All right, tip 8. If you have business credit cards, I need you to evaluate them based on your annual fees and interest rates. What rewards do you get with the card? Do you get miles, points, cash back, something else? If not, you need to decide whether or not you need that card. Or better yet, tell yourself or tell someone else, why do you have the card? Know your why. As long as you know your why, there you go. Just be mindful of what you're buying and how much you're spending. Tip 9, look at your team. If you have some people on your payroll who are toxic, underperforming, or highly disengaged, consider strongly cutting off that relationship and terminate their work contract. Let go of the dead weight, just as you would pluck a dead or dying flower in your garden. I mean, is it just me, or would you actually allow a dead flower to choke off your other flowers in your garden? Or would you pluck that flower out so that your other flowers can thrive? I mean, think about it. How often do we prune roses? It's for that purpose. We'll discuss in greater detail the concept of pruning in a future podcast in one of our upcoming online courses. You can visit ForemanLLC.com for details on our online courses. Just click on services and then click on professional development. All right, moving right along. Tip 10, control how much you purchase. Try to negotiate for discounts or special payment arrangements. Tip 11. If you own your office building and you are not using all of it, right? You've got just empty workspace, office space. Why don't you consider subleasing the portion or portions you aren't using? Then let that incoming rent help to cover your mortgage on that building. Makes sense? Coolio. So that also can counteract the downsizing. So maybe, hey. Now, whatever you do, please, oh, please, oh, please, 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 don't assume that this cost-cutting process will happen overnight. It may take several small or large cuts. It may take months. Just be patient. Just woo-saw. If you haven't launched your business yet, here's my quick advice. Ready? 1, stay as low-key as you can for as long as you can. 2, operate remotely as much as possible. 3, consider an e-commerce store over a storefront, a food truck over a restaurant, at least in the early stages of your business. You never know. The online store and food truck may be the best options and most profitable. You won't know unless you try. 4, when considering what to buy for your company, follow the advice that my dad used to give me, and I would roll my eyes when when trying to apply it to my life. But my dad would say, ask if you need it or just want it. I would add that if you just want it, then put it on a wish list to budget your money to purchase later. If you need it, prioritize it from high to low or low to high, and then budget accordingly. Now, tip 5, make sure that you use accounting software like Wave or QuickBooks to help you track your finances and income. You can always use Excel, Google Sheets, that green accounting workbook if you want, whatever floats your boat. Just remember that saving time also saves you money. I'll leave that reminder here for you to marinate in for a second. All right, you've marinated long enough, all right? So hopefully that answers our listener's question on overhead costs. Please shout us out on social media or email us your feedback to don'tcallitsmallbiz@gmail.com. Now, the next 2 questions are interrelated and come from 2 more of our social media followers who are also tuning in today. One of our listeners asked that I discuss entrepreneurship mindset and how to go about overcoming limiting beliefs. Ooh. The second listener asked that I discuss procrastination and waiting for the perfect time. Oh my goodness. All right. I will address both today and we'll revisit them again in future episodes. Several episodes because these are biggies. If you're taking notes, try to keep up. Are you ready? Okay, then let's do this. Being an entrepreneur is one of the boldest, scariest, and potentially most rewarding positions and responsibilities to pursue and hold, second to parenthood. It can also be destabilizing, nerve-wracking, isolating, and lonely. Just like parenthood can sometimes be. Well, why is that? Well, it's giving birth and nurturing an idea. You have to see, chase, and embrace a vision driven by a mission that other people may not see and may not want to chase or embrace at all, or maybe not as long as you want. The mindset of an entrepreneur is always focused on mission and vision and constantly creating and testing ideas that can potentially support that focus. An entrepreneur seeks out the human, physical, financial, and other resources needed to achieve the goals that will fulfill what? That's right. The mission and vision. Mission declares why you're in business. It states clearly why you do what you do, why you're open the hours and days that you are, why you give a hoot about your customers and employees, and it states what it is that you do. Your vision states where you want your company to be, the type of impact that you want to have. It's looking out towards the abyss and seeing something manifest that hasn't yet. Oh, it can be scary, down to your bones scary, hit you deep, deep, deep in your core scary. But that's what drives the entrepreneur. Every business, no matter its size or how long it's been in operation, is merely an idea that was formulated, launched, and supported by customers, vendors, and those people that make the day-to-day happen. Your employees? Yes. Those foot soldiers who make it happen for you. Now, if you're a solopreneur, it's just you, yourself, and you, then you are the employee. So pat yourself on the back for doing a good job. When you look at the dilemma of overcoming limiting beliefs, it can be difficult. But the most successful entrepreneurs and professionals steer through the choppy waters using various techniques. So I'm going to mention a few today. We will pick up the rest in future episodes, all right? Technique 1, self-talk. Thoughts are things. They live and grow within us, and they can either empower or destabilize us. So positive self-talk is key to counterbalancing the thoughts that toil through the soil in your mind. By replacing words of can't and impossible with can and, oh well, we're going to try anyway, and let's do this. We use words to empower and uplift us, and we choose to opt out of using words that make us small and insignificant. Self-talk means refraining from calling the things that we do and the ideas that we have as being little or small. The moment that you call it small, you put it in a box and said it's okay not seeing and speaking it as bigger and better. When you say, oh, I have this little small business, or it's not that big of a deal, just this little thing that I'm working on, or this small project, I want you to shake you. I want to just, yeah, I do. I want to shake you. And I want you to shake yourself and tell you, stop calling what you're doing, thinking, and speaking as small or little. Look, be bold, be intentional, be proud of what you see, feel, hear, and desire for your life, your family, and your business. Don't diminish what you're doing and planning. No small thinking, no small speaking, no small doing. Successful people speak into existence that which they desire in all aspects of their life. Now, they may be more successful in one area of their life, in business for instance, and then look like a bumbling idiot in their personal life. I'm going to address this because I know there's someone listening that is actually thinking about this kind of person. This may actually be you. So let me go ahead and address this. If I were a betting person, I would say that in their personal lives, they may sacrifice the bigness and empowerment that they invest professionally, and then they just wing it personally. They may not see the need for the high achievement in their personal lives as they do professionally, or maybe they don't realize that the magic sauce that applies professionally also applies personally. This isn't always the case, but it happens quite often. These individuals may suffer with the struggle of navigating between wearing the work hat and the home hat. All right, they don't know how to switch those hats and when to switch them. The waters can be rough, y'all. Right? But in both environments, positive self-talk is important to chopping down the chaos that tries to build and take roots in our mind. Every day you must start with a positive affirmation declaring who you are, what you are, why you're here, what you want, what you'll do, and how you will achieve all that you desire. Throughout your day, when life tries to rock you at your core, recite your affirmations and put life in check, all right? Technique 2, iron sharpens iron. Build an advisory team, get a coach or mentor, partner with someone, whatever you do and whomever you align with, make sure that they are strongest where you are weakest. Make sure that they are willing and able to positively push you beyond good or great, that they are dependable and they aren't yes people. Oh, now let me pause for a moment about these yes people, because that's a biggie there. So many people surround themselves with yes people that enable foolishness and sometimes fools. Okay? If you have nothing but yes people around you, it's a clear sign that your ego can't handle being told no, or you're wrong, or you could do better. Instead, a person such as this would prefer to not be told the emperor has on no clothes. Nope. They would rather be lied to and told that they not only are fully clothed, but ooh, they look spectacular. Look, you should want the truth at all times, and you should seek out truth tellers to help you help yourself, to be the best you that you can be. Got it? Good. Now, moving right along, technique 3. Fail, fail, and fail some more. What? Yes, you heard that right. Sometimes those limiting ideas comes from a fear of failing, being a failure, and being seen as a failure. The most successful business people have failed countless times. They just never see themselves as failures. There's a big difference. Trust and believe. A failure is a person who never tried, or they tried once, gave up, and never tried again. That's a failure. You have to realize that it's merely a lesson learned to rebound from and try again or in a new way. Athletes don't lose a game, match, or race and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I quit." No. Well, not the great athletes, at least. No, no, they don't do that. They return to training. They examine their mistakes, make a few tweaks, work on getting stronger, faster, and wiser. Then they compete again. Look at Venus and Serena Williams. Look at Lewis Hamilton and so many others. They've won and lost, but they don't stop competing. Not until they make the decision to retire. Does that make sense? Good. That's what you need to do. That's what you have to do. See a failed idea or attempt as an opportunity to get it right the next time. How many products do you own that were mastered after numerous failed attempts? Now, think about this. How many of them still aren't mastered? That's why the companies keep releasing the new and improved versions. Aha. All right, technique 4, don't be defined by the box. As I said in episode 2, reimagine the box. Don't just think outside of it, redefine it. Heck, it may not be a box to you. It could be a constantly moving, morphing shape that ebbs and flows as needed. Successful business people are never contained, never boxed in, never defined by others and standards. They're never normal. They're never ordinary. Think of it. Think of all of the successful people that you know or know of. Are they boxed in? Nope. If you hang around small thinking and small speaking people, I guarantee you they will try to define, align, and confine you to a box. Put them in a special category or column. Heck, put them in a box. If you choose to keep them in your life, put them in a box, but get them out of your business. If not, their smallness will sprinkle seeds in your mind that can be watered, rooted, and sprouted as weeds that will choke off the bigness you have been called to do. You can't live your purpose on purpose, being, seeing, speaking, and thinking small. So that's 4 techniques that you can practice and master. I'll share more in future episodes. If this information's been helpful, please let me know. Shout us out on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or send us an email to don'tcallitsmallbiz@gmail.com. Now, for the next question. Do I have time for one more question? Let's see if I can make this one work. All right. The next question deals with procrastination and waiting for the perfect time. Whoops. Maybe I should have started with this one instead of saving it for last. How ironic is that? That's really ironic. Anyway, I can be a procrastinator. I can be easily distracted. Heck, I procrastinated with gathering the research I needed for episode 3 that aired earlier today. I let the cutoff date and time for listeners to share topics and questions to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday. I taught a class from 6 to 8:30. I didn't get home till almost 10. Silly me. Anyway, I don't know. What in the world was I thinking? I don't know. I know what I was thinking. I was thinking, there's still plenty of time to scan all of our social media sites for followers, comments, do the research, and outline the balance of the show. Silly me. The cutoff needed to be, and moving forward will always be 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays. I can say this with all honesty. Procrastination is not only a thief of time, it will bury you after smacking you around once or twice. Like that WWE, like SmackDown, like it will smack you down and then bury you and take everything that you want. I mean, that's just how you need to look at it. We procrastinate out of fear, confusion, insecurity, or lack of planning. If you're always or mostly late to appointments and meetings or to work, you're probably also a procrastinator. And the same is probably also true in reverse. So I'm going to go ahead and deviate so I can talk about this because we have to address it, right? Our lateness signifies that the people we are meeting aren't worth the time that we forfeit doing something else. When we should be on time at our scheduled and agreed upon meeting, job shift, etc., we choose to do something else instead that makes us late. Whether we want to admit it or not, our lateness signifies our lack of respect for the other person's time. Yeah, even if that person is a loved one. Sometimes we take them for granted and assume they're okay with our lateness. Yeah, I'm guilty of this. I admit it. I'm working on me. Are you working on you? When it comes to procrastination, the best approach is to speak these words until they become your way of life. You can change them any way you want, but as long as it comes through loud and clear to you, I don't care what you say. Just say it and get to moving. So here's the words. Ready? If I get it done now, then I don't have to rush to get it done later. By doing it now, I free up my time later to do whatever I want. Now, it may sound corny, but you don't need prophetic words to make big moves. You just need to say, move, dadgummit, and then move. So, let's see. Our listener mentioned that he wanted me to talk about waiting for the perfect time. Oh gosh, the crippling effects associated with this phenomenon. Whew. Okay, where do I start? Well, let me boldly say this. There's never a perfect time. You can wait for the perfect time, die, and someone else will run off with your idea, and then, my friend, you've made it the perfect time for them, but not for you. So just step up, step out, and do it. Yep, you might fail, and if you do, just get back up, brush yourself off, and hit that pavement like a beast. That's why they call it beast mode, because you got to go hard, give it your all. Leave everything on the mat, pavement, court, field, whatever, and wherever. That's why we have a gazillion software updates, app versions, upgrades, and more. They keep improving, reiteration after reiteration. Imagine if the brands that you love waited for the perfect time to launch. Most, if not all of those brands would have never launched. They took the leap and improved along the journey. Most of us were conceived at times that weren't even close to being perfect. Now, you know it's true. How many of us were not planned pregnancies? Come on now. How many of us were, oops, that was a lunchtime mistake. Uh-oh. But we're here, aren't we? I mean, decisions were made knowing the risk. That's how you should operate personally and professionally. Remind yourself that there's never a perfect time, but you can have a perfect time at your party when you celebrate your huge milestone or achievement, right? When you become that millionaire, that billionaire, that 10 times billionaire, whatever, right? That's when it's perfect, at the party. So I hope that this counsel has been deemed helpful. Give me some feedback, shout us out on social media, or send an email to don'tcallitsmallbiz@gmail.com. All right, folks, that's a wrap for this episode. Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yes, it is. We have reached the end, at least for now. So I want to make sure that you guys tune in next week. Be sure to follow our podcast on Twitter at DCIS_biz podcast. I'm not sure what platform you're listening to us from today, but we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, and Spreaker. We'll be coming to you soon on other platforms. Yep. So follow Foreman & Associates on Instagram and Facebook. Our handle is our name, Foreman and Associates. All spelled out, one word. Please don't forget the E in Foreman. Yes, yes. We're also on Twitter. Our handle is the number 4, MAN Associates. To learn more about our company and the consulting, professional development, and business support services that we offer, please visit our website, ForemanLLC.com. And please spread the word about the Don't Call It Small Business podcast. And if you don't, I'm gonna come get you. No. But seriously, please spread the word and continue sharing your questions and suggestions with us. What do you think that we should discuss next week? Let me know. Get those responses in by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday. I will see you next Wednesday. Same place, same channel. Have a super awesome day and a super productive week. I'm going to crank it up, and I want you to go ahead and bounce.